Tell me, what do you like? What did you like about Lebanon, and what didn't you like?
Those old photos of you we know so well. From tourist shops and bookstores, from postcards outdated, the city's prime and eminence, and enhanced sepia and chrome. Before we named you Martyrs Square, you were Bourj, the tower. The geographic heart of a calm eastern Mediterranean town, now more than 100,000 inhabitants. The Turks didn't tolerate our nationalist gestures. 2 years into that war, halfway past famine and fear, journalists and politicians left hanging for 3 days. Yet you gave birth to our purpose. We returned to you repeatedly, calling on the Turks to retreat, and how soon we were divided along conflicting lines. Mountain Lebanese, coastal Syrians, unable to forge common identity. Half of us turned east to the Arab uprising sweeping the region. Half of us looked west, in pursuit of Greater Lebanon. And by 1918, we managed to revolt. But we were robbed of that passion. British and French bombs fell from above, crippling the empire from within. The French arrived months later, laying claim to our sovereignty. Ottoman state, French mandate. This was now only temporary. Our ongoing revolution would need you to regain strength, then challenge the world over. Shada Khouri of Mount Lebanon, a Christian with dreams of independence from French rule and a recognition that the coast would need reassurance and a shared country. Riyad Salah, Muslim from Saida, able to see the mountain's demands, willing to be both Lebanese and Arab at once. Sovereignty now possible, a constitution agreed, thought through without today's think tanks or conflict resolution panels. Before the UN, before talking heads on CNN, before academics of Ivory Tower and experts of geopolitical power. Khouri, Salah, managed on their own. The French threw them in jail together. They spent months in confinement in the eastern barren hills. Yet they never relented. They gave us our confidence. Thousands of us gathered in your midst daily, demanding their release. The French shot at us, arrested us in droves. We were undeterred. In the middle of their European war, they released our prisoners, retreated from the region. November 22nd, 1943, Shada Khouri, Riyad Salah, our new president and prime minister, declared independence from France. From the heart of Beirut, we gathered in your square. With jubilation in your presence, we named you Martyrs Square. We changed you right away. From simplicity, relished in history, we invested in your fame. We gave you your majesty, your statue, with liberty embracing the country. A torch, a flame, martyrs fallen below. A tribute to the 2 uprisings behind us, the foundations of our country. A reminder of the sacrifice and the price we endured. You became our nightlife, our movie district. Films from Cairo and Hollywood budding side to side. We removed symbols of Turkish tutelage and embraced French facades. The Paris of the Middle East, days of architectural beauty, tarbouche tossed aside in favor of bow and necktie. We moved forward fast, letting go of the past. We jammed you with our traffic and lined you with sidewalk cafes, sharing you with the region's best writers. Egyptian, Iraqi, Syrian, Palestinian poets seeking refuge in our city, now famed for its liberty. In your midst, we could never tell who belonged to what religion. It didn't matter. We knew that without you, our commonalities would disappear. And that, of course, is history. We tore you up during the Civil War. We gave you carnage and gore. We made you the front line between a newly divided East and West Beirut. We let our fighters loose, a rampage of 15 years, battling over your terrain, littering you with landmines and corpse. Only stray dogs surviving. The rest of us saw you if we dared cross over, risking our lives to maintain some unity and reminisce about our short-lived story. Christian, Muslim names now defined who lived where. Syrian and Israeli bombs pummeled you to memory. From 1975 to 1989, you hid in shame. You hid among trees growing inside you, trees growing in abandoned buildings, on fallen balconies. You let nature take its course. You became Khat Tames, the Green Line, but you preserved your legacy. You shielded your meaning, unwilling to let us rob that away. You protected the statue. With a torn arm, bullet holes, shrapnel markings all over, damaged, but not beyond repair, you kept it standing. And by 1990, the Syrian army took over. We re-emerged from our nightmare with 150,000 of us dead, to a new order under Assad's rule, Syrian checkpoints monitoring movement within you. We dared not discuss politics. Sectarianism the new norm, and in those years, and our hasty attempts at economic revival, we made sure you'd never be the same. We leveled all that was left of your better days. We opted for renewal rather than renovation. We rushed to forget the war. Buildings that could be salvaged, we knocked over. We left you desolate. The statue, all that was left within you, a hint of our prouder accomplishments, removed for polishing. A victim to pathetic political bickering, left in a warehouse for nearly 2 years, but thankfully returned in time. Because on February 14, 2005, a day none of us forget, you helped us recover our history. A truck bombing 1 kilometer away, assassinating Rafiq Hariri. Attempts at hiding evidence of involvement, suddenly met with protesters. Demonstrations, demands. The pro-Syria government forced into compromise. Inspectors granted access, promises of reform. It wasn't enough. The people, now energized, marching towards you. Hariri's body buried beneath you within days. We started camping by your side, hundreds of us that very first night, chanting songs from our past. Thousands of us flew the cedar tree high, without party slogan or confessional strand. We demanded independence once again. March 14, 2005, 1 million of us joined you. A quarter of the nation on one day together, calling on the Syrian army to leave, calling on militia to disarm, calling for independence, and calling for justice. Your heartbeat that day.
بتمنى عليكم تعيدوا وراي وتقولوا قسم جديد قسم جديد نقسم بالله العظيم مسلمين ومسيحيين أن نبقى موحدين إلى أبد الآبدين دفاعا عن لبنان العظيم. عشتم وعاش لبنان. دفاعا عن لبنان العظيم. وشكرا.
Days went by with the freest minds taking great risk, impassioned words from those defending your destiny. عودوا للشارع أيها الرفاق تعودوا إلى الوضوح سمير أسير. The pro-Syria government resigned, the Syrian army left behind. The pens of our best refusing to take arms, ultimately met with the swords of zealots and despots. Samir Asir and Gibran Twaini, the first martyrs to fall. And in the years thereafter, I told your story. No, I showed your story. To the thousands of guests who walked the streets with me, I navigated your tale without taking sides, and I brought you to life the best way I knew how, seating guests beneath your statue, displaying your past of the layers of history that swept the century, the quintessential stop for any storyteller. 100 years of sacrifice told right through sunset. I never thought for one moment you'd be anything more than the roller coaster finale. I knew your meaning in politics, I respected your purpose, but our bond was by story. It was never by blood. That again is history. You're holding what's left of him. Buried next to Hariri, he's now in your care. the 12th assassination, and that decade of death. He paid the ultimate price while extending his hand to Iran, a letter he composed, eloquent and dignified, looking for Lebanon's way out by avoiding sectarian strife. His opponents, fearful of compromise, chose to end him in broad daylight. He trusted your power, he believed in your persuasion, and you provided him the tools he cherished most. The written word, expression without fear, while chants from the Arab Spring rang through his ears. You lent him your torch, he lived through your strength. And with his weight above and below me, I honor that truth. Despite the country's divisions, despite its delusions. You're the place we rally our cause. You're the path to reclaim our history. Now, you're where I turn to retain his passion and permanence. In pain and prosperity, through triumph and tragedy. My British, my father, my martyr, my honor.
Lebanon has an interest in peace, and in a generation, maybe we can catch up all the lost time that we had over the last few decades.